Yo, what's up, gang? This is Cash, back again with another video, and today I have a very special guest, Kim. This is my partner, Kim, and today we're going to be doing a little Q&A. Y'all ready? Let's get it! Why don't you start off by telling them a little about yourself?
All right, so I'm 25. I am a content producer for a nonprofit in DC. Cash and I met in grad school at Georgetown, and we've been dating for about 2 years now.
What is your gender identity?
I am a cis woman.
How did we start dating?
This feels like a trick question, but I know it's not.
Why would this be a trick question?
Okay, we started talking because we had a class together in grad school, and we would like flirt, we would like, talk a little bit. And then you asked me out right before winter break, and I was like, yeah, that's like, this is too soon for me. Like, I still needed to like figure out, what I wanted. And I was like, let's be friends for now and just like talk and see where that goes.
Yeah, she said no. And I was like, okay, cool.
I went home to LA for winter break and you were in Maine, and then we were like talking for those 3 weeks, like every single day. And then when we came back, we like went on a date, and now here we are.
What sex/gender were the people you dated in the past?
I have exclusively dated cisgender men, so.
Ew. Did you have any type of panic when you first started to be interested in me?
Okay, this is like a yes and no thing, because yes, it was like a panic, but it wasn't so much like gay panic. It was like, oh, I am really into this person, and if I pursue this relationship, like it will become a relationship. In my past, like I would flirt around, hook up. I didn't really have any serious relationships. So when I was like first starting to talk to you and realizing that I liked you, I was like, oh, this is what it's like.
Aww.
Yeah.
How has dating me as a non-binary/trans masculine person been different from dating like cis men?
Obviously, this is like a two-part answer, I guess, because the obvious thing is like the physical aspect, but I think the bigger one for me is the emotional aspect, and like being able to just feel super comfortable with you. Before we started talking, like I was very nervous because I would be embarrassed or conscious about things that are like normal, and that I shouldn't have been, like sometimes my weight or just like, body hair and that kind of thing. And I feel like there is kind of a difference between someone who has had a lived experience being like socialized
as a woman.
Yeah, and things like that. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. But you've been better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm. How do others perceive your sexuality because you're dating me?
I guess it's very different, because there are those who are more progressive and have had more friends or like close ones that are part of the LGBTQ fam.
So Alphabet Mafia?
Yeah, Alphabet Mafia. So they're like, for them, it's not like a thing, or
it's not a big thing.
It's not a big thing. Or it's also not something that they feel the need to dissect. It's like, oh, cool, you're queer.
Okay.
But, I've had some tough experiences with my family and coming out, and my family is all Honduran immigrants. So there's definitely like a cultural perception of queerness that is unfortunately riddled with a lot of like trauma and, outdated beliefs. So I have had people in my family assume that I'm a lesbian.
How has your internal definition of your sexuality changed, if at all, since dating me?
Dating you definitely opened up my eyes about my own sexuality. Like, it wasn't like I was I started dating you, and then I was like, oh, well, now this means that I'm queer because I'm dating someone who's not a cis man, which is definitely not the case. I think it was more like, oh, the like strong connection that I felt with you made me realize like, oh, I've always been like this. I just was either never in circumstances where like romantic opportunities presented themselves with folks other than cisgender men, or I was like, oh, like everyone has girl crushes, or everyone, you know, everyone's sexuality doesn't revolve around cis men. Yeah, so I think I'm much more comfortable now because I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely queer and I love it, and it's queerness isn't something that is defined by your partner, which is something that I was very lucky to have a friend to tell me that.
Kim has come a long way, I feel like, in accepting her queerness. Now we'll be like watching TV and she'll be like, kiss, or something, when like two girls are on the screen and I'm like, I'm not even this gay. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, if there's a storyline that's only with straight people, not interested.
So how do you explain me to other people? Like, how do you explain who you're dating in terms of my transness?
Oh, I was gonna be like, hot mess. I'm kidding. I think that at the beginning I felt more compelled to explain you, to say like, oh, and my partner who's non-binary, blah, 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 blah. And especially this happened when I was like in the process of, well, I came out to one family member and then was essentially outed to the rest of my family. So I found myself having to explain my partner. But I think other than that, like with coworkers, for example, like I don't think I've ever said like my partner is trans non-binary. Like I've just always referred to you as my partner, using they pronouns. I feel like it's a conversation that should be a lot more normalized versus me having to like make it a thing to explain you and your identity, because that's stupid, because we don't do that for cis people.
So what do you do when people misgender me? That 1, 2?
Yeah. What do I do? I think usually I do like a quick, oh, actually they use they them pronouns, or say, you know, actually my partner's non-binary.
Oh yeah, show them your nails. Maybe don't.
Don't what?
Look at my nails. So what are some disadvantages to dating a non-binary person?
I'm kidding. I think that there are zero zip disadvantages to dating you in terms of your identity, because you're just so awesome and your identity isn't a character flaw or something that is, you know, that you should be ashamed of or anything like that. It's just a part of who you are.
I'm paying her a lot of money to say this.
Honestly, the hardest part has been realizing how far away we are as a society from being just collectively more open and less prejudiced about trans identities.
Okay, so on the flip side, what are some advantages to dating a non-binary person?
I don't know. I don't know if like the advantages of dating you are because you're non-binary or just because you're like an awesome, amazing, sweet, super cute, loving partner. Yeah, I don't think that there is anything specific, but everything.
Any suggestions for someone who might be either dating or interested in, or in the future might date someone who's non-binary and or trans?
I would say one of the things that's really important is like take the time to do research on your own. Like, yeah, Google. There's a lot of different ways that you can learn about the trans experiences that, you know, you might be curious about or interested in based on like who you're interested in, so that, you know, all of the information doesn't fall on trans folks to educate cis folks, especially someone who has like, you know, more intersecting identities, like trans people of color, you should kind of educate yourself about dysphoria or things that you can then speak to your partner or whoever you're talking to in, like, you can approach conversations about sex in a better way. You can do your research.
I feel like though at the very, very early stages, it's super important to do that. But also as you get more into like, especially like as you get into the physical side of things, it is important to specifically ask the person what they're comfortable with, because I feel like a lot of times they'll be open to like telling you before you like jump into bed together. But like it is okay to ask respectful questions, but like overall I think research is important.
As it is in any relationship, it's important to be like supportive of your partner and try to like understand their needs as much as possible and like have conversations and things like that, because the more you know about how to support your partner, like the better you can support them. Just like know that dating someone who is not a cis person, it's not the same in terms of a lot of like the experiences that you might have, but dating in general is like dating any other human. The person's identity shouldn't be something that's like, ooh, like maybe I don't want to date this person.
What did I do when we started dating that made you feel less nervous or like more comfortable with me as a trans person?
I don't know. I realized as we were like going out on dates and stuff, like we obviously had conversations about like your identity, but other than that, like we talked about anything that you might talk to anyone on a first date or second date or third date, like about music and our hometowns and like just is essentially getting to know each other. And I realized like, oh, you are just another beautiful person who has like beautiful thoughts and feelings and emotions and experiences, and you were just like meant for me. So I was like, oh.
The rest of us.
I know.
Okay, any other thoughts for the viewers?
Any other thoughts? I feel like something that's really important to keep in mind is that, you know, especially if you haven't dated someone who isn't like a cis person before, then, you know, you might have these feelings of like, oh, this is a new experience, this is a different one. And so of course there's always, anytime you try something new or engage in a new like type of relationship, it's gonna be scary in a way, but it shouldn't deter you, because I think that ultimately like your connection with someone is the only thing that matters. And that's what I realized with you. Like, even though I had kind of like a rocky acceptance journey with my family, like ultimately I knew that I loved you very early on, and that we were each other's like people. You didn't pressure me to like identify or label myself. You just kind of like let me figure out, and I'm still figuring stuff out, right? Like I think identities are very fluid and evolving, but yeah, just like do it. If you like that person, go for it.
I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A. Thank you for being a guest on my channel. Go follow Kim. All her social media stuff is in the description. You good? You done?
Yeah.
Alright, y'all. I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks for watching. Peace!